The world God Only Knows was something of a mini-franchise back in the day. While, naturally, there was an anime and manga, the show was pumping out idol albums, spin-offs, OVAs, and more. The show really developed into something of a cash cow for the now defunct Manglobe. Yet, and I think this goes without saying, the show has almost spiraled into obscurity. Inevitable for a show with no new content, but odd for something so popular back in the day. It's hard to believe how far its popularity has spiraled downward. It's tough to be unbiased with the world God only knows, with it being the show that got me into anime. All the arcs, music, and characters bring forth heavy feelings of nostalgia, but my personal feelings don't get in the way of the world God only knows being one of the 2010's biggest anime gems. The story of the world God only knows is rather simple. Keima Katsuragi, a legend amongst the dating sim community, is contracted by demons of hell in order to use his dating sim knowledge to help real girls fall in love and remove the hiding spirits in their heart. If he doesn't, he'll lose his head. That sounds ridiculous, but it boils down to our main character having to conquest various girls, saving them in the process. Tagging along is his new little sister from hell, Elsie, and the swath of girls that build up as the conquests pass. These arcs follow different characters, each generally representing different tropes of girls seen in games. If you've never played a dating sim before, don't worry. You don't need to be versed in the gal-gay gaming genre to appreciate the world God only knows. However, what I do believe is necessary is at least an interest in gaming. I think gaming and anime obviously go hand in hand, so this shouldn't be an issue. But episodes like The Glitch and the first 2 seasons finales rely so heavily on this being a relatable thing, I think it's pretty much necessary to go into this show being a gamer. Plus the whole gamer self-insert thing too. The story is simple yet fun to follow. The premise is mostly unchanging for the first 2 seasons, but it does stay interesting largely because of the character interactions. Additionally, small details about the bigger picture and the world in this anime are sprinkled in during the first 2 seasons, before it becomes a major focus in the 3rd season, the legendary aforementioned Goddess arc. It features conquest targets of the past, and the story moves from save the girl to save the world. After 2 seasons of Girls and the manga, if you've read that as well, this arc really is phenomenal. You're reunited with a lot of the popular characters from the previous seasons and manga chapters. It's an engaging roller coaster ride of a story that ends on an emotional high note. I'm a huge fan of Season 3, but there's something to be said about the beautiful simplicity of the previous girl capture arcs. The filler of The World God Only Knows is impressively entertaining as well. In the entire series, I'd say there's only one episode I don't personally look forward to watching, and it's because of its odd storytelling approach. All of the non-essential arc episodes are wonderfully entertaining through and through. For example, the Glitch episode or the God of Conquest episode. I've discussed the characters a little bit, but they represent different tropes you see in gal-gay games. For example, a teacher, sporty girl, stuck-up rich girl, etc. In the manga, they cover just about every single trope you can think of, and the anime has got some real good ones. The library girl Shiori was my absolute favorite girl he conquered. Chihiro's arc is excellent as well, and I think her role in the overall story is absolutely phenomenal. I'd be remiss not to mention the show's Golden Girl, the queen of merchandise and being shilled, Kanon. Slight jabs aside, her arc is fun and the amount of work put into making her feel like a real idol is worthy of praise, but god damn did they make sure we knew she was the most popular character in the show. The author used the in-game tropes to his advantage to create interesting ways for Keima to make girls grow and overcome problems. For example, the library girl Shiori learns to talk to people, overcoming her speaking phobia, but also moving on from her tendency to keep her inner thoughts and dialogue to herself. A girl is never just a trope in the world God only knows. There's always an interesting wrench thrown into the system to give the characters more depth, but also to be a meta look at the dating sim trope. The author was obviously pretty versed in the genre, and this project came from a real passion. A character I haven't discussed is the main character, Keima. He serves largely as a self-insert for all the lonely gamer boys watching, but him being pushed towards opening up is very compelling, largely because of his relationship with Elsie. Elsie, his goof of a little sister from hell, is pretty much the one pushing for Keima to change, and the way he grows fond of her throughout the show and how they become closer is very heartwarming to follow. Another highlight character is definitely Hakua, who appears during Season 2. She's our look into the world outside of Keima and Elsie's partnership, The show, despite Keima conquering so many girls, avoids becoming a harem with one nice twist. The girls lose all their memory of the incident. This serves the show well during the first season, allowing it to stay Monster of the Week. Later, this is turned on its head for the Goddess arc, which results in the story taking a complete turn and the rules of the conquest being flipped. Even though the rule changes in Season 3, I'd still hesitate to call it a harem simply because of how Keima handles the situation. There's harem-y moments in the third season, sure, but Keima's attitude towards it all makes me hesitate to call it a harem. I spent a lot of time trying to figure out a way to describe Keima's attitude towards his potential harem, and I think detached is a good word. Keima views his actions in Season 3 as a quest. The world is on the line, and he'll do anything to finish the job. It isn't until a pivotal moment in the story Keima realizes just how destructive his attitude is after the conquest is over. This leads to one of Season 3's surprising peaks, following Keima's character. The humor in The World God Only Knows is another highlight as well. Quite a bit of the humor relies on making fun of the main character, Keima. Naturally, he would be a bit of a target, but the jokes never feel overboard or harsh in my opinion. More impressive are the cutaway gags used for explaining Keima's delusions and analogies. For example, the BMW.
メモリー、2人の思い出、家族ならではの質量揃った思い出、これぞ兄弟の可愛がたい絆。お姉ちゃんも。
The gags do a lot for Keima's character too. They really just show how passionate he is about gaming and how much knowledge he has. The animation of The World God Only Knows is largely by the numbers, but I wouldn't be doing this show a favor by just glossing over it. The work put into scenes like Kanon's concerts are pretty nice. They know when to put the right amount of effort in to sell a scene, usually during the climaxes for example. I'm also really fond of the outfits they wear in the show as well. They're pretty styling. Manglobe does a commendable job of adapting the manga faithfully, by putting effort into both the comedy scenes and the emotional highlights. Also worthy of praise are the various designs of devils we see throughout the show. Hakwa and Elsie are really lovely character designs, and I regret never having picked up a figure of them back in the day. The initial release in 2010 and the final artwork seen in the third season are wildly different. Take a look at how different Keima looks in this scene compared to this. The artwork of the second and third season has definitely aged much more solidly than the first. On the whole, however, I really like it though. On a somewhat related note, I've also got a fetish for when we see cool anime stories in pimped out weeb rooms, or just gaming in general in anime, which this show has in spades. Plus the main characters live in a comfy cafe. It's pretty great overall. The music is one of The World God Only Knows' strong suits. Where else to start but the opening songs? An over 8-minute long epic, the first opening to The World God Only Knows is unbelievable to say the least. I'm not an expert on explaining music, but the way the song tells a story and changes during its impressive runtime is simply fascinating. And it's not just one song, there's 2 other songs done in the same style. Season 3's full opening is almost 13 minutes long, and has sections for all the different goddesses featured in the show. These songs are known as an oratorio, which is a large-scale musical work for orchestra and voices, typically in a narrative or a religious theme. The amount of work and effort put into these is so impressive it really makes me sad to see them go somewhat underappreciated nowadays, and I think all 3 opening songs deserve a place in the best anime openings of all time list. The effort put into the music extends into the background OST as well. I've still got a fondness for the background soundtrack in this show, and I do still put it on from time to time. The soundtrack ranges from godly, choir-filled pieces to sadder, slower pieces that punctuate emotional moments.
なのにみんなこんなリアルに四苦八苦している。僕はどうなんだろう。
With video game influenced works to accompany Keima's silliness,
恋愛とは1に下校、2に連絡先の交換、3にデート、4に女子からの下校、以下3と4の繰り返し。まず下校ありき。こんなこともわからなきゃいつまでも恋愛初心者のままだぞ。
all the way to epic orchestral pieces. I'm no good at explaining this stuff, but I hope my show don't tell did the trick. Keima, described as a god of gaming, makes these religious-sounding songs impressively fitting. These slight godly religious undertones extend throughout the show, from the religious-influenced oratorio to the heavenly visuals sometimes present in the show, and of course the religious-sounding music. It's really odd and unique, but fitting for the show. The musical effort extends even to the insert songs too. The most popular character of the show, Kanon, has quite a few catchy idol songs written for her, alongside small dance sequences too, which goes a long way in making her idol arc feel both realistic and worthy of its nearly 1/3 of the first season runtime. I hope by now you're getting the picture with how amazing the music is here. But I'm still not finished. The ending songs for each season have different versions for every girl singing them, which plays when their arc concludes. These different versions ultimately culminate in a final version where every girl sings the song at once. I shouldn't have to mention it again, but goddamn the music in this show! Voice acting is largely all around stellar. Keima's delivery, as you've probably heard from my various clips, does a good job of portraying not only his serious side, but his silly side as well. Elsie's voice actress captures her bubbly cuteness, and has quite a bit of memorable moments from just her voice acting alone.
私の真の力を目の当たりにすることでしょう。
Shiori is notable for being one of Hana Kanazawa's earlier breakout roles. A voice actress who grew fame with characters like Mayuri from Steins Gate or her work in Oremo, which was released around the same time. Tenri's voice actress delivers some unbelievable lines too.
なんか言ったマジックの耳だよ。
いや、知ってるけど、なぜここで手品？
ケマくん、元気ないみたいだから笑ってくれるかなって。
Just about all the characters deliver a solid performance, even if their arcs only last an episode or two. I hope by now you've been convinced about this show's greatness. There's a bit of an issue that needs to be addressed regarding the story arcs of the anime, if I'm going to recommend this show to you. The anime, surprisingly, decided to skip a large swath of the largely formulaic heroine capture arcs to move right into the goddess arc, a lengthy storyline I think most fans would agree is the absolute best the manga offers. I can't really come to a definitive conclusion, even today, if skipping to the meat of the story, the goddess arc, was a good thing or not, but it's undeniable that this skip leads to quite a bit of confusion when watching. The correct way to watch this anime would be to watch seasons 1 and 2, read the manga chapters for the missing girls, the Tenri OVA, and then finally move on to season 3. Confusing, yes, but necessary to fully understand the story. Skipping ahead was a bold idea, as it left viewers possibly not knowing 3 of the 6 incredibly important goddess characters. Of course there's flashbacks and the like to help establish things, but the issue still stands. Additionally, a lot of these arcs revolve around nostalgia for the old capture arcs, and many of the story details established back then. But, if you were to play devil's advocate, another season of somewhat repetitive capture arcs probably wouldn't garner as much attention or interest as this big story. As I mentioned, I'm still to this day conflicted on whether it was a good idea or not. However, whatever happened, happened. It's truly unfortunate that, over the years, it's fell off the radar, but it's only natural when it's been so long without any new proper content. If you haven't seen The World God Only Knows, I really truly do recommend it. It's a show that got me into anime, and I think, for a lot of people, it holds a real special place in their heart.